Thanks to the support as a channel member, Kyle Mack. Well, I had planned for this episode to be all about us having a final push to try and get into Europe, but recent results have made that seem pretty unlikely. But we can celebrate the fact we might have the Premier League's top scorer and Young Player of the Year. So that's still pretty good for a first season. Hello and welcome to part 107 of Bourne Again. I'm Kevin. Coming up on today's episode, we have our final two games of the season against Southampton and West Ham. Since you were last with me, we just started losing games. We lost to Everton, we lost to Man City, drew against Leeds, lost to Wolves, and then for some ridiculous reason, beat Liverpool. And again, the majority of these home matches are being played in front of more fans that can fit in front of it. Then we'll be able to fit into our new ground, which we'll be moving into in the next episode. So that's problematic in and of itself. There is still an outside chance we could squeeze into Europe. It is very unlikely that we will, especially because the little shaded area seems to have moved from 7th up to 6th. So if we have to get as high as 6th, there's no chance. If it is 7th, we're only 4 points behind 7th place, but we have got Stoke, Tottenham, Norwich and Burnley all in our way. So it's not just a case of making up 4 points. It's making up 4 points while 4 other European qualification chasing teams also drop between 2 and 4 points. It seems unlikely. We're looking at mid-table. Mid-table's fine. Gomez is the top scorer. Jackie is second on average rating and is the favourite to win Young Player of the Year. He's also second for assists with 12 assists. Gomez has got more Man of the Match awards than anybody. We have got two of the Premier League's brightest young stars in Christian Gomez and Mita Jackie. So that's reason enough to celebrate. We don't need Europe. My worry is those two might need Europe, and if we don't qualify, that might be reason enough for them to move on. But I think they both have big release clauses, and it's going to have to be a release clause job. 52 million for Gomez, and I think it's 80 million for Jackie. They ain't going for less than their release clauses. They're too young and too talented to be sold for silly low amounts. So we either have those two next year getting better and better, or we have an extra £130 million to spend this summer. I'm happy with either outcome, really. So this is our team for the Southampton game. We're going with Mazinho in goal, a back four of Congni, Da Silva, Quero and Orlando, Arnautovic and Mira in midfield, and then Minic, Ruiz and Jackie behind Gomez up front. I've had a couple of people mention that I seem to have forgotten that Congni can play central midfield. Just to confirm, he does play central midfield a lot. It's just sometimes I decide to play him at left back, mainly because I want to keep Arnautovic in and around things. I still haven't made my mind up about Arnautovic. He seems to get a little bit of stick down in the comments section, but he is, average rating wise, one of the best players in the squad. One of only 3 players averaging over a 7. He's on a 7.02. And of course, he's still only 22, and he signed for us when he was 18 years old. I still feel a little bit hard done by that he doesn't count as homegrown at the club because he had that little bit of time away when he was at Leicester. But I'm inclined to try and bring him back on loan again next year, because looking at those numbers, this is a boy who's never letting us down. He doesn't ever do anything spectacular, but I think because we're only on key highlights, we maybe don't see a lot of the stuff that Arnautovic is doing to justify his 7.02. But the fact he's in there, plugging away, getting a rating at that kind of level, when there's only the 2 superstars, only Gomez and Jackie are getting a better average rating than Arnautovic. So it feels wrong to drop him. But in order to play Congni, that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm dropping Arnautovic to do it. And although we still seem to play well, it is worth noting that little run of form I just showed you with Congni playing as the box-to-box midfielder coincides with those run of defeats we had in the Premier League. And Arnautovic comes back into the midfield for the Liverpool game and we win. So we do seem to play better with Arnautovic in the midfield. So although we're not necessarily seeing him do much, he is obviously doing plenty in there. And I think I will probably be leaning towards bringing him back on loan again this summer, or maybe even buying him Although Leicester are looking for somewhere between 20 and 25 million pounds for him, which seems like an awful lot of money for a player we signed on a free transfer, sold to them for 5 million. And at the time, 5 million was incredible, but he's only ever really played for us. So to then have to do another 20 million, I don't know. But then I guess, would I spend 20 million pound on an equivalent player? Probably. I mean, De Silva, I think, cost about that. De Silva, 20.5 million. So if I'm comfortable spending 20 million pound on someone we don't even know is any good in the shape of De Silva, who's just scored, so that's how we know he's good. I knew he was good. But if Arnautovic wasn't Arnautovic, if we were just looking at him on a scout report and we're told he's definitely going to get over a 7, he'll make the team better, you'll win when he's in the team. Of course, we pay 20 million pound for him in those circumstances, but it just feels a little bit... I feel wronged having to do it with someone who was originally one of the great bargains of the save. Why are we conceding all these goals? What's going on here? What is all this? Where is Southampton in the league? They're playing like a team trying not to get relegated, and that's exactly what's happening. They've got something to play for. We haven't really. It's always the way towards the end of the season when you're a mid-table side. It's just a lot harder for us to motivate ourselves for this game than it is for them to motivate themselves. They know if they win, they go into that final day of the season with a chance to stay up. And in actual fact, Leicester are right in the relegation mix. So I wonder if Arnautovic has got a relegation release clause, because, I mean, we might end up bringing Lahif on to play in goal if it turns out that Arnautovic has got a £9 million relegation release clause, and we want to help Southampton finish above them. We need to check this out. Right, Arnautovic, contract info. Doesn't seem to have a relegation release clause. Rubbish. But we are much more likely to get him at a more reasonable price if they get relegated, I think. I think if they go down, we have to sign Arnautovic permanently. Right, I expect to see a better showing in the second half. It's fired everybody up. Let's go out there and show everyone we're any good. I've done all that positive talk leading into this, and now we're just not playing very well, and it makes me very cross. Right, Mazzinho to Aguero. Plays it out to Orlando. Into Mira. This feels like a goal is coming. Aguero again plays it forward, this time to Cernajacki, who can score from here because he'll just run past 4 players and stick it in the top corner. I've seen him do it loads this year. Instead, elects to play it out to Minic, who's got Cogney on the overlap, but Minic is going to go it alone. Cross coming to Cernajacki, who heads just over. I mean, he tried to score from where he was at the start of that move. He played it out wide and got himself onto the end of the cross, but understandably, the majority of our attack feeling pretty frustrated at the moment, partly because they're not getting much in the way of service, and partly because I think the defence are probably letting them down. I don't think we should be behind in this game. Right, let's switch the midfield round a bit so we can get Cogney in there to play alongside Arnautovic, which is something I tend not to do because I'm a big Mira fan, but maybe this is the way to get them together. We can bring Lahif on for Gomez as well, who did score the goal against Liverpool that beat Liverpool. So maybe Lahif is finally going to start showing us that he's a Premier League striker. Minic has picked up an injury, so that is decision made for the final substitution. Voros can come on for him. And we just need to try and find a way to grab an equaliser. An equaliser will be fine. Europe is gone now, unless we have a huge turnaround. I mean, Tottenham have moved up into... So, I mean, to be honest, everyone else does seem to be bottling it too. If we could find 2 goals here, we're going to be 2 points behind Tottenham, who are in 7th place going into that final day. So, it would be nice if we could find 2 goals. We've got 10 minutes. Stranger things have happened. Come on, boys. Let's grab a couple of goals. Europe is at stake here. Do you want Cernajacki at the team next year? I know I do. Oh, yeah. That's a header from outside of the area that managed to hit the foot of our post because no one's really paying attention to it. Yikes. People are going to start picking on Mazzinho, even though we know he's good. He's a 4-star goalkeeper. I refuse to accept he's not as good as Sir Alan Hardy, even though I know there's going to be sections of the comments telling me Mazzinho's no good. He is. He really is. He's just not having a good game today. Well, that's been disappointed. I understand why Cernajacki's frustrated, because I am also frustrated. That was poor. We need to do better on the final day of the season, just to show that we're not super rubbish. Right, final game of the season. No changes. We're just going to do it properly this time. I'm not happy. I'm not happy with how we performed in that last game. And I'd like to think we'll get a better performance out of this game against West Ham. I've not looked where they are in the league. Apparently we're huge underdogs, so let's do the underdogs team talk one last time. I don't think we can get away with it after finishing mid-table. But West Ham are below us in the league, down in 16th place. No longer under threat of getting relegated, I don't think, mathematically. Leicester can't catch them, I don't think. So it looks like it is coming down to between Palace and Leicester. Fingers crossed for Leicester going down, because then we can steal an Arnautovic off them, hopefully on the cheap. That's got to be the plan. Right, West Ham have a really early corner here. It is cleared, sort of. Mira finishes the job, and it weirdly didn't lead to anything. So I'm not really sure why we had to sit through it. If it wasn't going to lead to anything, why do we have to see it? Absolute nonsense. But we're not doing anything, are we? We've not done anything at all. 20 minutes in, no highlight. We've had 60% possession, but other than that, nothing much happening. Nothing much happening movement-wise. I mean, it would be nice for us to grab the win so we could jump up and have a top half finish. A top half finish would be nice. Mid-table it's just as nice. Ultimately, it makes no difference. Gomez, I guess this is the one thing we are playing for. I think that's been disallowed. The refs disallowed that. The one thing we are playing for is for Gomez to finish as Premier League top scorer. Is this actually offside? Well, offside. We've got Stamenkovic at Tottenham, who is his closest challenger. So we just need to make sure he's not scoring today. Tottenham are playing Arsenal. So hopefully Arsenal absolutely batter them so that their striker doesn't score any goals. I didn't check between the two games. He might have got 5 in the previous game, but Tottenham currently 2-0 down against Arsenal means Gomez must be looking good for that golden boot, which would be an awesome achievement for a player who's only played one international game at 22 years old to arrive in the Premier League and finish with the golden boot. I mean, it's close to unheard of. The man, tell me someone else who's only ever played once internationally, who's arrived in the Premier League that young, golden boot first season before he's even an international footballer. That's that's madness. I mean, you might be able to pick out a few English examples, maybe. Even that I'd struggle. But the fact he's come in from South America and done it as well, without being an international player already. No idea how he got a work permit. We're not going to get bogged down in those kind of details. Work permits just don't seem to be a problem for us, which is weird. I don't know if we've got a weird version of the save where work permits aren't really a problem. But it certainly hasn't become a problem for us yet. Orlando with the massive deep cross, and there is an Arnautovic to grab us a goal. His 3rd goal of the season. I would very much miss him if he wasn't here anymore. I think we have to do everything in our power this summer, as long as we've got a reasonable transfer budget. Obviously, we don't want to spend our entire budget on an Arnautovic, but if we get the opportunity to sign him relatively cheaply, and he's available, and we've got the budget to do it, I would really miss him if he wasn't here. Ruiz, with the clever little short free kick. It's clever if it leads to something. Ruiz now going to run into the area, plays it into Gomez, who shoots just wide. It looks like it was a little practiced routine, but didn't actually get anywhere. We're going to bring Voros on this left-hand side, and I'm in normal circumstances, at this point, I take off Gomez, but I think I have to leave him on just to give him the opportunity to end up with that golden boot. I don't have Regulus on the bench today, which is, we can still push Cogney forward, bring on Ansong, because then Orlando can go over and play left back and give Ansong a rare appearance. That midfield looks fine to me. We will leave Gomez on, because just in case Stamenkovic grabs a hat-trick for Spurs, we're going to have to just focus everything through Gomez to try and get him his goal that he'd need. I think he was 3 goals clear of Stamenkovic, certainly prior to the last game. Like I say, don't know what happened in the last game. Gomez is in here, though, but his shot is a pretty poor one, and it's straight at the goalkeeper. He's having a really poor game. Bless his cotton socks. Should we get Robinson on supporting him? Cerna Jackie, can come off for Robinson, actually. Jackie not playing particularly well, and we want to protect his rate. That makes no sense. We're locking in his rating. We want to protect his average rating by locking in a low one. He could have scored a goal. Oh, Voros is in, and there's a second goal for us. Is that offside? Have we had another goal disallowed? I mean, this one looked offside as it was happening. And we saw the other one was miles off. But it's the flick on. Ansong with the flick on. And Voros is stood offside. I'm not really sure why it's Ansong and Voros who are the ones combining for the aerial assault there. They're not exactly the players you would pick for that role. A little bit of defensive shenanigans there. But we are currently sat in 9th place. So as it stands, with a couple of minutes to go, we're going to record a top half finish in our first season in the Premier League, which would be lovely stuff. As long as this doesn't go in, and it doesn't, it's just over. Leicester look like they're going down, so the Arnautovic deal becomes more and more likely, as it looks almost certain that Leicester are going to get relegated at this point. Tottenham aren't going to be in Europe, so I wonder if they're going to lose Stamenkovic off the back of that. Perhaps we should make a cheeky offer for him. Mid-table club to mid-table club. Lovely save from Mazzino. It's not a save, it's gone wide. I'm giving Mazzino the credit, though, because I just feel like you lot probably picked on him after the first game. So I need to give him some credit for that save. It's definitely a save. The ref got it wrong. Ansong to Ruiz, and there we go. There is our confirmed top half finish for our first season in the Premier League. Have we got a confirmed golden boot as well? I'm almost more interested in that. There we have it. Christian Gomez is the top scorer in the Premier League. It's not often a newly promoted team gets a Premier League golden boot. Lovely stuff. Big pile of cash coming in as well. So we're going to be absolutely flooded with money. Now we just need to see what kind of transfer budget we're going to get. But I guess that'll be something that we find out in tomorrow's transfer special. If you enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. And thank you very much for watching.